Tetris.com, and let's see where we're standing at. The shapes we fall, but we cannot do much about it. We don't have any input from the keyboard, and we know the game, we know what has to be done, and we have to move shapes around in order to complete lines. That's the object, the goal of the game. That's Tetris, and that's also the tutorial for today. Keyboard input and event listeners. Thanks for coming. Let's see how it's done. Okay. If you guys remember, we have three include files, and the first one was a setting shapes. That's one we're using to declare variables, and that's one we're going to use to add our event listener. Yes, the event listener is going to be placed right at the beginning of our Tetris, and is going to set the compiler waiting for a keystroke. Yes, once the keystroke happens, it's going to fire a function. We're going to name this function move shape, and the function will receive values which will correspond to the key that was pressed on the keyboard. But the thing is, I'll be showing a table at the end of this screen capture. But the fact is that each one of the keys, they have a specific code, which are not so much user-friendly. Yes, they are not user-friendly, meaning that, for instance, the value of 37 is the arrow left on the keyboard. So for a layman or even a professional programmer, the name left is far more friendly than 37. So for this purpose, we'll be assigning variables. Yes, why not? Instead of reading 37, let's assign 37 to left. So when people are reading the switch shape, the switch case we are creating, instead of reading meaningless numbers, they will be delighted to see meaningful variables, right, left. The numbers, they come from a table. There are plenty of tables out there for the key values. I'm going to show a couple of them at the end of this screen capture. But for the sake of programming, you guys know, 37, 38, 30. And there we go. We have our function. You would think that the best time to start coding a function is right now, but we have to create walls. And if you guys ask what the walls are for, very simple. Every time that the user presses the left or right arrow, we're going to move our shapes left and right. And we want to make sure that it doesn't go too far right or too far left. We want to keep these shapes on stage, and for that we'll be testing collision against walls. Yes, we have the hit bar. We are duplicating the symbol, and now that we are duplicating the symbol, we'll be placing one left, one right, and every time our users hits the key, we'll be testing for collision. And if it goes too far right and goes too far left, we're going to instruct to change the properties and put the shape back onto stage. For that, let's put the bars, the walls into stage. Each one of the walls, it's the same symbol, but they will have different instance names. And left wall, everything in ActionScript is case sensitive. Left wall is small l on capital W. Right wall, the same rule, small r and capital W. And we have two walls to check. We have two walls to check for collision. That's the story. And it's time to start coding. Yes, time to start coding. The function is receiving values from the event listener. Yes, because we'll be checking the key, which one of the keys on the keyboard was pressed. It could be left or right arrow. We already assigned values in the beginning of the tutorial. Instead of funny numbers 38, 39, we have variable names, which is left, right, so it's easy to understand. And once the key is pressed, we're going to change the X coordinate. By the way, there's a small typo, a small mistake. It's a keyboard event that's receiving keyboard event.decode. I'll be fixing that in a second. But the fact is that we'll be checking for keystroke, and then if it's left, we'll be subtracting 30 out of the X coordinate, and if it is right, we'll be adding 30. And if it hits one of the walls, we're going to retrieve. We're going to take away the value that was added or subtracted. Let's start coding. Case left, the current shape. By the way, if you guys don't remember, but remember, current shape is that shape that's falling from above. Dot X is the coordinate which moves left and right. So current shape dot X is going to be the same position minus 30 that will move the shape to the left. Very simple. And let's move on. Let's test for collision. Yes. If current shape hits the left wall, it's impossible to hit the right wall by pressing the left button, left arrow. But if it hits the left wall, please, instead of subtracting the 30 pixels is subtracted, that put them back. We want our shapes into stage. Yes. And there we go. There we go. Let's test this movie. I know there's a mistake here. Keyboard event.decode. We'll be fixing that in a second. But it's a voiceover, so I know it's what's going to happen. And let's do that for. Let's see if it works. And there's a mistake there. I'm telling you that there is a mistake. And I forgot to say that's a keyboard event. We're fixing that in a second. And it's supposed to work only with the left key. There you go. I know what the problem is. The problem is here. Switch keyboard. That's the value we received from the event listener when the key was pressed on the keyboard, and that's the value we'll be testing. If it is left, which is 37, we're subtracting 30 from the, here you go, moves only left. And if it hits the wall, it stays on stage. Beautiful, works great. Now that we have the formula for the left, all that's left us to do is make the same formula for the right key. So sweet, so simple, so efficient. Now, instead of subtracting 30, we'll be adding 30 because we want the shape to move to the right side. And if it hits the wall, instead of adding 30, we'll be subtracting 30 to put the shape into stage. Now, I know there's a small mistake here. I forgot to put the break to once one of the cases is completed. We have to make sure that we use a switch, and that's why one of the keys is not working. Let's fix that in a second, and soon we'll have our move shape function controlling shapes on stage. Yes, that's the plan. And a small debug here, guys. It's, by the way, we have several tutorials. We have a newsletter. It's free to subscribe. We have sponsors. They pay, you learn. Say-web.com. It's free. Subscribe, and if you subscribe from the website. Time to test a movie, and it works both sides, left and right. I'm Abraham, sayweb.com. Thanks for visiting. Thanks for watching my tutorial. See you next tutorial. We'll be rotating the shape, and we'll be dropping fast when somebody presses the down button. Thank you very much. See you next tutorial.